journey of success. Today I'll just read beginning at verse number 9. And I'll read a few verses that follow. And then we shall hear the Lord speak unto us through both the reading of the scripture as well as the presentation of his message. And hardly passing it, we came into a place which is called the Fair Havens, nigh whereunto was the city of Lasea. Now when much time was spent, and when sailing was now dangerous, because the fast was now already past, Paul admonished them, and said unto them, Sirs, I perceive that this voyage will be with hurt and much damage, not only of the lading and ship, but also of our lives. Nevertheless, the centurion believed the master and the owner of the ship more than those things which were spoken by Paul. And because the haven was not commodious to winter in, the more part advised to depart thence also, if by any means they might attain to Phoenix, and there to winter, which is an haven of Crete, and lieth toward the southwest and northwest. And when the south wind blew softly, supposing that they had obtained their purpose, loosing thence they sailed close by Crete. But not long after there arose against it a tempestuous wind called Euroclydon. And when the ship was caught and could not bear up into the wind, we let her drive. We'll just read those verses because that is probably as far as we'll get to in the presentation this morning. You may be seated as we continue to discuss the journey of success. The journey of success. The journey of success. Last week we were intending to expose to the people of God that success itself is not a destination. Success is a journey, and that every step we take and every part of our lives is a journey of success. We are not going to success because success, again, is more than just where we are going to. It is even where we are. Now, one of the reasons why it is so significant and important that you grasp that is that a lot of times we look at our lives, and while we may be failing in one area, we conclude that we are not a success. But you cannot allow one area of your life to be the portrait of your entire life. You may not be succeeding in an area, but that does not mean you're not a success in totality. Because in this whole thing of success, there is a mixture of both successes and failures. And so the intent on last Sunday was to have us to first grasp the concept that success is a journey and not a destination. It is not where you are going. It is the continual process, including and not limited to where you are. And you cannot just say, I'm going to be successful. You've got to look at yourself and declare and decree so that the devil in hell and all of his imps and demons would know that you are already a success. Don't just look at one part of your life and call yourself failure. That thing that you're looking at may indeed be failure. Thank you, sound man. That thing that you're looking at may indeed be failure. But that does not sum total your entire life. You are not a failure. You need to hit yourself and say that I am not a failure. Doesn't matter about how many things are going on. Doesn't matter whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. I am a success. So we are trying to make sure that we grasp that concept, that success is our total journey. We made a few points on last week, and one of those was that just because progress is slow does not mean it's not progress. And that was a very important point, because a lot of times we may be slow in one area but very rapid in another area, but it does not mean that we're not progressing just because something is slow. And sometimes when things happen real quickly in our lives, they tend to demolish real quickly as well. They tend to fall real quickly. So we have to be as open to the slow progress in our lives as we are to the rapid progress. Because some things God does quickly, other things he does slowly. But even if he does it slowly, it does still indicate that there is progression. And then we said that success cannot be paralyzed by danger. Successful people cannot be paralyzed by danger. We cannot look at a dangerous situation and say, I can't do that because it is dangerous. Danger cannot become a paralyzing effect upon us. And we cannot just stop doing something because it looks like we can't do it. It looks like there's danger in it. No, we even talked about that on last Sunday. And we talked about how even when we face those times of danger, we have to use wisdom. And that wisdom has to direct us through this dangerous process. And we talked about how we have to both get skillful wisdom and spiritual wisdom, skillful and godly wisdom. And it's so significant that we be able to apply wisdom to our circumstances. Apply wisdom to even those dangerous things, those things that you cannot understand. Seek wisdom. And it's important that we be able to grab skillful wisdom as well as spiritual wisdom, skillful as well as godly wisdom. Find some people who have skill in what you're doing, but then find some people who have spirituality. Don't just get one side. You need both, because both makes the total process of being wisdom. There is spiritual wisdom, and then there is skillful wisdom. There are people who have been doing what you are trying to do, and they've done it much longer than you are doing it, and they have skill in that. And so you need that wisdom. You need that skill. You need that input. But at the same time, you need some people in your life who are indeed spiritual and can pour into your life what the Lord is saying. What the Lord is saying. I want you to pull out your notes from last Sunday, and I want to give you something else, because the Lord just dropped this in my spirit as I was sitting there. And so I went back to the back, and I had to look this particular scripture up because I could not remember exactly where it was. But it's in Proverbs chapter number 20 and verse 5. It's something that is so very important as we continue to deal with this concept of the journey of success and this thing of wisdom. Proverbs 25 says this: counsel in the heart of man is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. Let me read that again. Counsel in the heart of man is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. Now, if you read that in other translations, it will say wisdom in the heart of man is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. What that means is that when you find someone who has wisdom, that person to you is a deep well of water. And you got to learn how to draw out of that person who has wisdom everything you can draw out of them, because you know and I know you can't live without water. And so God surrounds us with people who have wisdom. And when he gives us people who have wisdom, he's saying, I'm giving you a well now. I don't just look at that person as a person. That person is a well to you. And you got to reach in there and draw out everything. Listen. I had just this past weekend, not this weekend, but the weekend before, I spent a lot of time with Philip Broughton. And periodically, Philip would say to me stuff like, what can I learn from you today? And I would look at him like, what is this kid talking about? He said, if you had one thing to tell me, what would you tell me that I could take back home with me? And I looked at that, and that's when this scripture started coming to my mind, because God was saying to me, this man sees you as a well. And as he asks you these questions, he's trying to draw out of that well